Hello, everybody. This is Martin John, and we are here with Tao of the Day. In Tao of the Day, or on Tao of the Day, we talk about the Tao Te Ching, and I ask you to step up and join me, and you can pick a number between 1 and 81, because there are 81 chapters in the Tao Te Ching, and well, I'm not charging for some reason. Give me one moment. Let me make sure everything is copacetic. There we go. Okay, so this is Tao of the Day, and on Tao of the Day, we talk about the Tao Te Ching. The Tao Te Ching consists of 81 chapters of short, enigmatic texts helping us live a more reasonable life. What I mean by living a reasonable life is that we live in a way that is in line with nature. We live in a way in which we're not asking others to change for us. We're not asking situations to change for us. So no matter what the situation is we find ourselves, there is a way to be within it, to be ourselves within it without asking things to change. What I ask you is, if you would like, you can step up and you can join me and you can pick a number between 1 and 81. What I like to do is just sort of ask, so what's going on? And kind of get an idea, get a baseline of what's happening in your life, and find where the intersection of the Tao and where maybe we can look at life, we look at our situation from a different perspective, be able to open ourselves up to the reality of to the nature, rather than reality, to the nature of what is going on in our lives and how we might be able to yield, how we might be able to appreciate it a little bit better, how we might be able to learn from these situations that we find ourselves. So if you have a number between 1 and 81 you want to select, please join me and we can talk. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and pick a number. I'm always, not always picking the same number. Sometimes I like when you can pick a number out of a hat, there's more possibility of picking all of the numbers, because there are definitely numbers that don't get picked as often. And it's always difficult to know which ones I've picked and which ones I haven't. I have a way to search for them on my website and stuff. Oh, Julie's going to join me, so that's good. Get another person involved.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Oh, I'm all right. I've been to a little trip to the vets today with one of my charges. That was interesting.
How did that go?
Driving to somewhere I don't know, visiting a vet with an animal that I'm not its owner, and it's all very interesting.
I had to do that with
Yeah.
I was watching a pet, and this is a little kitten, and after the owner came back, the kitten died.
Oh
Yeah,
my God.
it was kind of on my watch, but no, it was young. It developed a problem that had nothing to do with me, but yeah. So what's
But
going on your end?
Well, this cat has a weeping eye, so I've left it a couple of days to see how it gets on. It's got eye drops, been putting eye drops in and stuff like that, and it's just not improved. And the cat's starting to get quite irritated by it all. He's doing his best to be nice about it, but he's kind of rubbing his eye and licking his eye and sneezing. Suddenly he's got these great big sneezes that shake his whole head. He could be asleep.
Yeah.
And then suddenly he's, "Two!" like this. I thought, I'll take you to the vet. I'll take you to the vet. I think I've given it long enough for you to work your own magic, little cat.
Right.
So we'll take you to the vet. So took him to the vets today, and he was such a good boy. He was poked and prodded. Not once did he get annoyed. He did try and get away a little bit, but not extremely. So, he was receiving from me kindness and love and strokes and reassurance. And he was working with that the best way that he could. So he's a good boy. He's come away with medications to give him, which, lucky for me, is not too bad. With eye drops, on the other hand, because he's a big boy, he's a big ginger boy, and he likes to back off from the eye drop situation.
Right.
He's quite strong. But no, we'll manage it. He'll have eye drops in his eyes once, one eye drop 4 times a day, and medication which is anti-inflammatory. So he'll do all right. He will be fine. And he
Oh, good.
took the journey well. You know, he did really well in the van getting there. It's about. It wasn't a close kind of place to get to. It's probably about 7 miles away. So he travelled well, and the sun was delightfully in. Because if you've ever travelled with a cat in a cat cage in a car or any vehicle, you'll know that they get really hot and bothered pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So we had it cool, which was nice as well. And he
Oh,
did no
good.
messes, no wees, no poos on his journey, which was
Oh,
also very nice.
see,
He
life
did
is easy.
he did do a cat fart, but we forgive him for that.
Well,
So
let's find a number for what's the cat's name?
the cat is called Leo.
Leo, of
Yeah.
course, a ginger
So
little
Leo
ginger
is
kitty.
he's a big boy. He's not a kitten. He is a big boy.
Yeah.
He's God, I don't know how old he is actually. I should really find out. I reckon he's about 4 or 5. He's 3-legged. He's had an operation before. He's lost one of his front legs. He manages quite well though. He tootles about and he's quite strong in the rest because of it.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
he's adapted well. So anyway, he says, can he have number 44, please? Because Julie saw
44.
it yesterday. 44 came flying out. So let's see what we
Flying
got
out.
there.
The influence of excess. I don't know how this relates, but let's look at it. Fame or
Let's see.
integrity? Which of these do you focus on seeing and obtaining? Possessions or fulfillment? In which do you spend your time investing? Success or failure? Of which has offered you the most growth? Under the influence, you spend yourself, accumulating only loss and regret. Fulfill your needs and be content. When you know excess is excessive, you'll be open to receiving harmony.
Hmm. For me, that says the thing about me and integrity.
Yeah.
I I like the feeling of showing integrity in the things that I do. It's quite it's an attribute in myself that I kind of prize. So integrity for me is taking decisions about things, especially with the cat, and getting him to the vet so that I could reassure myself and then show integrity towards the cat as well as its owner. So for me, you know, owning things, the outcome, obviously, like you've mentioned, the outcome, the success or failure, as long as I've given integrity, then that, you know, success or failure isn't mine to own. It just is.
Yeah.
So it's kind of
There is something on the underside of this that's really interesting. And it does have to do with integrity and something that you had mentioned where it's like, you want your integrity to be seen
Mhm.
in a certain way. Whether it's by the cat or by the cat's owners or by the vet or by, the people around you or whatever. Like
Yeah,
there's something really interesting about and I see this in my life too. The difference between having integrity, just knowing you have integrity, and then having integrity that you want to be seen as integrity. Because
yeah,
that
it's
starts
kind of
to
important.
tend toward
Yeah,
fame, right? You want to be
yeah,
seen doing this thing, you being of
yeah.
integrity.
Yeah, there's a
And
reason for it. The reason
yeah,
is because I want people to feel safe. I want to be reassuring to them and the cats and myself because underlying it all is fear. I'm going to get straight to the point here.
yeah,
Anxiety and fear about not doing the right thing at the right time.
right. And that's the thing, like, that's where you doubt yourself.
Yes.
And that's where anxiety in not doing the right thing gets passed to the person or thing or being that you are afraid of not doing the right thing in front of. And so
Correct.
even if you are worried about not doing the right thing, well, then the cat is going to be worried that you don't know what you're doing.
Absolutely.
And then it spreads on. And so it's interesting that we're talking about this, because that first line, fame or integrity, which of these do you focus on seeing and obtaining? And it's interesting how one can fall into the other so quickly.
Yes.
Right? Like, well, the integrity, the quote unquote higher of the two, right? The integrity can fall into fame, and fame just being, I want you to know that I've done this. Like, I had someone call me the other day and tell me, "Hey, I did this thing," and then I looked at it and I was just like,
And
well, one, why did you do it? And it was such a half-assed job that, like, it's frustrating that you're even telling me about it. If
yeah.
you didn't tell me about it, I would have never known. And now I know that, like, I'm just an afterthought to this thing. And then you want me to pat you on the back. And so it's like, maybe you acted with integrity, but then you wanted to be seen as acting with integrity, and so you called me and told me about something that now I'm frustrated, and I'm like, well, why is this how we're doing this?
Mm-hmm.
And it's all about that idea of fame. Well, what is fame really, other than being seen or being recognized for doing something?
Yeah. For me, I suppose it comes across that I'm now making my living looking after other people's precious,
Look at
sentient
how your life just
fur.
just unfolds, like,
Yeah.
so beautiful.
It is lovely. It is lovely. And to be honest with you, I suppose I kind of am now cherishing that and that trust that people place in me. So maybe that's why I need to be seen exercising my integrity.
Right. That's why you want to be seen exercise. You
Yeah.
don't need to be. I mean,
No.
your integrity will come to the surface,
Anyway.
even if they don't see it outright
Hmm.
in the most conspicuous way, right? Like, your integrity will be there for you,
Yeah.
will be in front of other people. Like, I'm looking at the rest of this, like, but that after these pairs, it says, under the influence you spend yourself, accumulating only loss and regret. Now, when you are under the influence of having a possession, when you're under the influence of what other people deem as success, when you're under the influence of other people's attention as it relates to fame, and fame just means people see you and are paying attention to you. When you're under the influence of that, you spend yourself, which means you spend your energy, which means you spend your, and that's what the loss is. It's not like every time, like, in going about your day in order to conspicuously be of integrity,
Mm. I'm
are
not,
you?
yeah. I'm not doing it 24/7, but I get what you mean.
No,
It,
yeah,
it,
but there
yeah.
are ways where it's like, I want to be seen, and especially if you're being paid by somebody,
Yeah.
right? Like, you may, like, I know I do this too. Like, it's just like, I want you, like, it's such a frustrating thing for me for someone else to think I've done something for a shallow reason when it's really been thought out completely. And
Yes.
I get frustrated when I'm like, you're jumping to a conclusion that I'm doing something from a shallow position, but actually my position is very deep, but you don't understand that. And that goes back to that other verse that I know you've heard, that talks about how the masters were so profound that they were often misunderstood. I have to be okay with being misunderstood,
Yeah.
because I am full of integrity.
Yeah. I often say that to people. I had a very good friend lived in Ireland who was on the app a while ago. And one of the things that they said to me was they found it very difficult to communicate to people because they were so profound in their
Yeah.
thoughts and their actions. And
Yeah.
it gave them a feeling of being alone,
Yeah.
of not being able to have a fulfilling conversation to a degree. He
Right.
felt that he had to kind of dumb down a bit,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
which then made him think that other people were on some kind of scale then, which
Right.
then
Because you're going
separated
in
him.
with your ideas.
Excuse me.
Yeah. Because you're going in with your ideas of what the world is like, and there's judgment and all that stuff. But if they're not judging, you're going you're going to judge yourself and you're going to put that on other people as if it's their problem. Yep. Are you coughing?
Yeah, I'm coughing like a trooper. See how connected.
Yep.
You know exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to continue
So
coughing because my spit went right down the wrong way.
okay. So then this one wraps up with these 3 lines: fulfill your needs and be content. Fulfill your needs and be content, right? So that's, like your integrity, your fulfillment, and growing from the things that you view as failures, right? Fulfill your needs.
Yeah, so
When you
my
know
my
excess
need
is
there
excessive.
is that I know that I'm doing the best for the little moggy. That's my need fulfilled. If as long as I
Right.
know that I'm doing my very best for the cat, nobody needs to know.
Right. The cat
Yeah.
is going to be happy, and it's going to be able to love itself more when you can love yourself around it. And then when the owners come back, it will be, in a higher place for
Mm-hmm.
itself. Yeah.
Yeah. I have to thank Brad actually as well, because during these moments of needing to be seen as with great integrity, obviously, like I said, I mentioned that I had quite a high anxiety. So I'm trying to figure out what to do with the best intent, with the best, kind of knowledge that I have, and to work and do properly. And all the way through that, Brad is saying, calm yourself,
Yes.
because you won't be able to do anything if you act in that particular influence.
Right.
So I have to calm myself.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much, June. It was gorgeous. And yeah, it all did line up beautifully with number 44. We got to have a really beautiful conversation about that. Teresa Chase was in line. If you're still there, come on back. Sorry if I drove you away. But if anybody wants to pick a number between 1 and 81, please step up and we can chat more about the Tao. I usually like to pick a number, and I may do that if I get an opportunity. But Teresa's coming back. Oh, beautiful. I'm so glad. Hey, how are you?
Good. You did drive me away. I got a call, so
Oh,
I
okay.
cut everything off. But you didn't drive me away. I listen to you every morning now. Gets me a good
Oh, well,
start
thank
while I'm
you.
doing my walk.
Yeah, how's your walk going?
It's going good. I'm at 4.5 miles, so I'm gonna probably stop around 5 or 5.5.
Okay, well, that's I like about that on a daily too. It's a nice distance. Then you can get some water in you,
Yeah,
rehydrate.
yeah. Perfect way to start the morning. Plus, I won't if I do it first thing, I'll get it done. If I wait, it's not getting done.
I am the same way. Like if I get up, do my journaling, do my exercises and stuff, it's like it's such a great start to the day anyway.
It really
Because by
is.
the time I get home, like, other people are just getting up and like starting their day and they're getting their coffee, and like I'm up not because of caffeine, but because I've been moving my body.
Right.
And it's
Right.
such a and it's a quiet time. It's a quiet time to be with your body, to be with yourself.
I think that's what I like about it most. I'm away from the house, so I don't see the housework I need to do. I don't have to talk to anybody unless I want to. and it's quiet and lots to see. So many plants and trees, and I use my little app to identify. So I'm trying to learn what this
Oh,
plant is or that tree is. It's a nice walk.
yeah. When you just kind of like sit and you're like, oh, I wonder what that is. Oh,
Yeah.
look at there's a new flower. Oh, look, there's
hmm
something's just blooming up. Like, and where? What time zone are you in?
I'm in Eastern Central Time. I think that's
Okay.
what you say, Eastern Standard Time.
Eastern,
Yeah,
yeah.
on the
Well,
East
there's,
Coast.
there's there's Eastern Standard and Eastern Daylight. You're currently in Standard, so
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
Eastern Standard in Richmond, Virginia. Actually, it's in
Oh, right.
Rico,
Yeah,
Virginia.
that's right. That's right. Yeah. We're
Yeah,
gonna we're
but
gonna
you've
we're
got
gonna
a
connect.
sister there,
I
right?
have a sister there. She's currently in
Oh,
Hawaii celebrating her
ah, must
50th
be nice.
birthday.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
great.
She took
Great
her
way
she
to.
took her kids and
Oh man, that's wonderful. All
yeah.
right, number 29. How about
Number
that?
29. Yes, right into it. Let's go. Number
All right.
29. Wow, this is, like as we were talking about doing the walking and feeling good and moving our bodies and stuff,
hmm
this number 21, 29 is entitled Make the World a Better You.
Oh wow.
So do you want to make the world a better place? How arrogant you must be. The world, like you, is sacred and cannot be improved. A force of will would ruin it. If it had a guide, it would be misled. There are times for all things, even this, whatever it happens to be. The master allows all things to be as they are. She doesn't want to control them. She simply lets them do what they do. She also does what she does, staying connected to Tao. So what
Hmm.
stood out to you there?
Well, that it's going to do what it's going to do. I think at times I actually have influence over my surroundings and life, but when I really think about it, I don't. Anything could happen. I try to keep control, and that's probably one of my problems. I'm a little bit of a control freak. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, just that sentence of it's going to be what it's going to be, or it's going to do what it's going to do,
Yeah.
stood out because I stupidly think that I have control over things. I mean, not even over this walk I'm doing. I could fall and break a leg.
Yeah. Or a tree, and all sorts of stuff. Like you could be attacked by a red-winged blackbird.
I was just talking about that to my son. I was like, "Oh my God, look at that giant bird!" I said, "It's not a vulture or anything; it's a blackbird." I said, "But it's big as a large
Wow.
cat."
Yeah, you got to watch out. Those things can get aggressive. Well, exactly. And that's what this first line is. Do you want to make the world a better place? How arrogant you must be. And what that is do you want to change something outside of yourself? Like you are being groomed and loved and guided by God or Tao or whatever, right? Like you're being
Right,
guided by this, and everything else is too.
right,
Like your children are being guided by that. So that's not to say we should just like lay down and let them just do what they want, but
right,
to be so invested and then get angry and outside of ourselves because they're not doing what we want them to do. Of course, we want to guide them in a way and we want to allow them the space to be as they are, but we also want to make sure that they understand the world that they're going to be living in.
right. I
So, go
did
on.
all I could to guide them, but they definitely have come into their own at their age now, and I mean I'm proud of them. But my oldest, surprisingly, let me know that he doesn't believe in God the way I do. He believes there's something there, but I raised him as a Catholic, so you know how hard that must be to hear my son say he doesn't believe in God. And
Yeah.
he said his influence actually came from a college professor. I'm like, lovely. I'm so glad I sent him to college. Um, But I asked him, I said, well, how could a professor change your mind when you had, like 18 years of catechism and all that? He said, well, Mama, that's what, the only thing you showed me in that area. But when I got to college, I saw that there were different things. So I'm just on a different journey. I might come back and still say later, oh, yeah, this is what I believe. He says, but, I was given the opportunity to think for myself. And so that's what's
And
happened.
and we want to look at, so we're going to look at 29, and we're going to look at this.
Okay.
We're going to look at this idea that, like, we also have to recognize that Tao, as I talk about it here, and God, really, it's just semantics,
Right.
right? Like, it's just like the Tao Te Ching is 81 verses that really, if you go through all of these, they're just different ways of talking about all the stuff that's in the Bible. Like, and
Exactly.
I just don't want to read the whole Bible. I'd rather read 81 pages than 1,000. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I'm
Yes.
like, it's just because I'm lazy. Right? Like,
Oh, it's exhausting.
and so when we look at, and I remember someone asked me, why did I choose Tao instead of, God or Jesus or the
Uh-huh.
Christian or Catholic path? And I had said, well, if I was supposed to be on that path, don't you think God is strong enough to get me on that path? Don't you think like that? Like, God wants me to be on the path that I'm on. Like, and I am going to be inspired through the path that I'm on to go about my life in the way that I am. It is intended by God, right? This is where it's like, the world, like you, is sacred. Your son, just like yourself, is sacred. And their path is going to inspire others, and it may inspire others to go toward the Bible, and it may inspire others to go to yoga class, and it may inspire others to take walks in the forest that are meditative, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so who knows what that's going to do, but like, a force of will would ruin it. That's the line
Exactly.
that's
It
next,
would.
right? If you try to force his hand, you would ruin it. If it
Yes, I
had a
would.
guide, it would be misled.
Mm-hmm. And I believe that. I believe that about, where he is right now and, where he might end up. But, he's still, both of my sons, both of them turned out to be very good people. They're good to other people. They're kind. They're considerate. They have good sense of humor. They work hard. So I I did something right. And the other part, as far as believing, I think that I think they do. It's just not the way I say it. I
Right.
was raised a strict Catholic. I'm not so strict anymore, but it's just different. I don't think it's anything less.
Isn't your life better that you're not so strict?
Oh yes, so much
So
better.
let's look at the response that the people who wanted you to be strict would have hearing you're not so strict. They would be having the same sort of response you're having towards your son.
Yeah, I think my mother and father would.
Right. And the thing is, it's about your relationship with God, your relationship with the universe or Tao, or all of the things that you are going to come in contact with. And
Right.
that is, your relationship is more important than the expectations of others and that relationship.
Yes, exactly. It is.
And here we have, like, the next line, there are times for all things, even this, whatever it happens to be. And I've seen this from, like, I was raised Roman Catholic, and when I hear people talk about, like, when a baby passes away, or when there's a disease or something, there's always this, how could God do this question? And it's
Yeah,
like,
I
wait a
don't
minute.
think like
Like,
that.
what a silly like, this is you're the one that put all this faith and all this, like, in God. And it's like, if he's going to be this all-powerful being in your life, then he's not wrong.
And he also gave everybody free will. So, we can't blame it on God.
And he's there doing these things. He's there guiding and inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
Even if we think it's not, even if we personally think it's not right, God has a higher plan.
Exactly.
And the master allows all things to be as they are. That means the person who, is able to, the master endow in this, but the person who has faith in what's
Mm-hmm.
happening allows all things to be as they are. She doesn't want to control them because she knows that if it had a guide, it would be misled. A force of will would ruin it. She
Mm-hmm.
simply lets them do what they do. But she also does what she does. And she observes that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's connected to Tao, connected to God, connected to all those things.
I really like that number.
Yeah. And I think that, like speaking about your son and your walks, and it's like being like your walks in the morning are really, like, I look at them as a mindful practice. You're sitting
Oh,
here,
it is.
you, and like as the sun is coming up, as the dew is forming, as that air of moisture in the air, like you're present with the earth, and you're present with God, and you're present with this moment, the coolness in the air before it heats up.
Oh, yeah. It's such a great feeling. I used to walk years ago. My sister and I walked together, and I really miss it, but I didn't miss it enough to go back until 2 weeks ago. And it's
Yeah,
been such a great change. It really has motivating in so many ways and
I'm so
relaxing at the
glad.
same time.
Yeah, it's like it's just giving you. It's like what a beautiful, like this is like indigenous people, like people throughout, like waking up just before the sun. Before it's hot out, like a lot of people that stay up till 4 in the morning and then wake up at 11. I don't understand
Mm,
that. Like, it's already
no.
like the day, everybody's on their way doing stuff, and you're just getting out of bed, and it's like you're always chasing things. But here it's like you wake up before everybody else. Take a deep breath, take that first step and say, this is my day. This is the gift
Hmm.
that I've been given.
And that's just how I see it too. It's definitely a gift. I was too busy looking at it as a chore and something that was gonna hurt me, hurt my feet, make my back hurt more. But it's done the opposite. And now I look forward to it. And it's only been 2 weeks, but I look forward to it.
Yeah, and there will be a day that it'll challenge you. You'll wake up and you'll be sore. You'll wake up and then you might not do it, and then you'll have to make the choice to do it again. And that's the journey. That's the conversation.
Hmm.
Nope, you just dropped out. If there was anything else that you wanted to say, we did get through number 29. You can come back up, but I hope you have a wonderful rest of your walk, and that you enjoy it. Like in the mornings, like I'm up here in Chicago, or just outside of Chicago, and it's a wet area up here, and the morning, like that moisture is in the air, but it's been humid and hot, especially in the afternoon and early evenings. And so I leave my AC on overnight, even though it's, I don't have it really, really cold or anything, like 78, maybe 76 sometimes, or 78, 79. And in the mornings when it's, like right now it's 71 out, I have the windows open and I get to breathe and I can smell the dew, right? You can smell the moisture and the grass, and it's just such a beautiful thing. And all of that's going to dry out. All of that's going to dry out. It's going to be replaced by pollen. It's going to be replaced by all of the other things that, go into the air when it's dry. But there's something about that heaviness of the morning, and to step out into it. I wake up at 4 a.m. You don't know this, but You may know that I've mentioned it before. I wake up around 4 a.m. There's no alarm, but I wake up around 4. Today I did. And I journal. I open the windows and I go out and I exercise and I do something, and I will take a walk in the morning, usually. And it's such a nice thing, and it's good for us, right? It's good for our bodies. It's good for our minds. It's quiet. And when we think in the mornings, when we there's more calm there. There's because I work with this idea of recovery and other things like that. I always look at the executive function. Executive function is the ability to say no to things. Not just no, but say yes to the right things, say no to the wrong things. And, it's kind of like if you have, and I reference chocolate cake sometimes and willpower and things like that. So executive function is your willpower. In willpower, sometimes you want to will yourself, right? Like just like in this number 29, a force of will would ruin it, because even a force of will would ruin you. If you tried to guide yourself to someplace specific that you weren't ready to go, like everyone's telling you should get sober, everyone's telling you should get sober, everyone's telling you should get sober. So if you try to use will in order to get sober, you will ruin what was almost ripe. Right? Because you weren't quite ready to get sober, but because everyone is telling you, I'm going to use will to do it. And you can, but if you're not ready, it's going to be somewhere in the back of your mind, and it's going to eat away at you until it gets through, and then you're going to go on a relapse. Is the relapse wrong? No, but the force of will is trying to do something, specific. And your path might not be so specific. It might not give you the result that you want right now. We all like those conspicuous results. We've talked about that before, right? And so when you are doing, like with Teresa, she used to walk with her sister, and then she thought about it as a chore, so she didn't walk. Oh, it's just going to hurt me more. She had all of the stories. And is that wrong? No. She may look back and go, oh, I wish I did this, but that's silly too. I wish I would have been doing this all along. No, you had to go through what you went through in order to get to a place that you are just doing this naturally. Now that you're doing it naturally, there is no force that is pushing up against you that you have to push up against. Now, when we talk about executive function, you only have so much executive function in a day. There've been lots of research about this. So you only really have so much willpower. Willpower is not going to, I've talked about this, about chocolate cake in the fridge at 2 a.m. If you wake up to take a piss at 2 a.m. and there's a piece of chocolate cake in the fridge, your ability to say no to that chocolate cake has been diminished considerably. You are going to say yes to that chocolate cake. You're going to open up the fridge and you're going to eat all of those sprinkles, and you're going to start with just a little, you're going to take your finger and you're going to push down on some sprinkles, have them stick to your finger, and you're going to eat them. And by the time you get to bed, that whole piece of chocolate cake is going to be gone. Right? Like that is what will eventually get us, because we only have so much executive function. When we wake up in the morning, we've reloaded, right? We've filled our tank of will. But if you start your day and you say, I'm not going to have a bagel, I'm going to have fruit for breakfast, but you want a bagel, you're going to say no to the bagel. It's like, okay, you've just used 10 points of executive function. And then you go to work and you say, okay, I'm not going to tell this person off who just sent me this email that I don't appreciate. Well, there's 20 points of executive function. And I'm just making these numbers up, of course. But it's like you start chipping away at your executive function, which is why sometimes before the end of your workday, you're already going to the snack machine and getting snacks that you don't like that you are engaging. Right? You don't like that you eat Snicker bars, but you're going to get a Snicker bar because you have diminished your executive function to such a degree that now you need to engage with a pacifier because you don't have enough willpower to say no anymore. Now, people could say, I have a lot of willpower. I do. Well, again, 2 a.m., chocolate cake in the fridge. Chocolate cake's winning every time. That's why that's why over the last, 10 years or whatever, 15 years, people are like, no, I don't want to take the desserts home because I don't want them in my house. We realize that, like, my willpower is only, like, I know as someone who's recovering from alcohol, abuse and drug abuse, I don't want drugs and alcohol in my home. My neighbor drinks beer and helps me with my house. I have beer in my refrigerator for him. And I have 4 beers in my refrigerator for him all the time. And there's a case of beer in my garage. I know. Now, I don't want to drink anymore, right? I don't want that. 23 years of sobriety. I don't want beer. Beer wasn't my drink of choice. So it's not a problem. The problem comes in when I talk about, I want to make tinctures. Because tinctures use vodka. And vodka is my drink of choice. Was my drink of choice. I have not gone out and bought vodka yet. But what I'm going to do is I am going to get all of the things that I need to make tinctures, right? I'm going to make a stinging nettle tincture, and I'm going to make a dandelion tincture, and I'm going to make a jalapeno or a habanero tincture. And I'm going to do those things all at the same time. So I'm going to make these things with the vodka and then get rid of the vodka. Because I know that willpower, even after 23 years, even though I don't want to drink, it's too risky. They talk about this idea of if you hang out in a barber shop, you're going to get a haircut. And that's what I'll be doing. I'll essentially be making my house into a bar. It's like eventually you're going to have a drink if you hang out in a bar too long, and that's what I'll have to do. As this relates to number 29, do you want to make the world a better place? How arrogant you must be. Do what you do, right? At the end of this, do you want to make the world a better place? How arrogant you must be. The last line, she simply lets them do what they do, but you could get rid of everything in the middle. She simply lets it do what it does. And she also does what she does, staying connected to Tao. Let the world be the way it is. And I connect to Tao, inspiring others, understanding my limits, understanding my place, understanding what I'm doing for myself. Knowing that I don't want to force my will on others. I don't even want to force my will on myself. I want to observe. Right? So there are things in my life I don't like that I do. I observe that. I become aware of that. As I become aware of that, I allow myself the freedom to tell myself, okay, you're going to do that until you don't. This is the true nature of my being, right? Like when I was an alcoholic, if I didn't judge myself, I could have probably made my quitting easier, but I didn't know any better. I was told to judge myself more or less, right? It was like AA was the only game in town back then. So I had to go in to these places where posters were like, if you don't do this, this will happen. And it's true. So much of what AA has to offer is true, but the groups do get a little marred in judgment and other things like that. And they want you to stay sober. And I've learned in my journey, and I don't want anything from you. I want to love you. right? And so if I can love you, then you will be free to make the choices that you want to make. Now, if you're judging yourself, there's nothing I can do about that. Right? Do you want to make the world a better place? How arrogant you must be. The world, like you, is sacred. The person that you're talking to, like Teresa's son or the cats that Julie is watching, or all, they're sacred. They can't be improved. The eye weepiness of the cat is what the cat's experiencing right now, and what Julie gets to experience, right? So Julie gets to experience the cat being a little ill, and then she gets to experience how she responds to that. The cat, it's uncomfortable for the cat, and then the cat gets to experience being cared for by Julie. These help us grow. This is Tao. This is the essence of Tao. This is where, what God is allowing to happen, or this is what's unfolding. The world, like you, is sacred and cannot be improved. A force of will would ruin it. If it had a guide, it would be misled. It is all in balance. And it's not to say that Julie shouldn't do anything about the cat, or Teresa shouldn't say anything about, Christianity or Catholicism as it relates to her son. Of course she should, if her desire is to do that. Now, is her desire to change his mind? Is Julie's desire to fix the cat? If those are the case, then there is an outcome you're looking for. If you're doing it to make sure that the cat is safe and make sure that to love the cat and to appreciate where the cat's at, if to appreciate and love your son and all of those things, like all of that is fine. When we have that expectation of what my actions are going to yield, then we start setting us up for disappointment. We start setting ourselves up for all sorts of frustrations. And that's why we start to think that, the world can be a better place if it had a guide, it would be misled. There are times for all things, even this, whatever it happens to be, and it will work itself out over time. We will be ready when we're ready. We're going to do it until we don't, as I like to say. The master allows all things to be as they are. She doesn't want to control them. She simply lets them do what they do. She also does what she does, staying connected to Tao. Thank you all so much for joining me. If anybody wants to pick a number, you can step up and pick a number. Otherwise, I'm going to start to sign out. I appreciate you guys joining me, and it's so great. Teresa said she listens to me every day. I think that's beautiful. Thank you so much. Even though there's this 179 up in the corner, it's just how many people have been in the room. I don't know how many people are listening at the moment and stuff. So sometimes I just think nobody's listening, and I'm here just talking, and it doesn't matter, because if I had an expectation of what this would be, it would ruin it. I'm just here looking at these numbers and in these verses, and I'm making sense of them for myself. And I'm looking at different areas of my life, and I'm trying to share. And if these resonate with you, I'm so glad, and I'm grateful for that. And you're always welcome to join me. Thank you so much for joining me. Once again, this is Martin John. This is Tao of the Day. If you are interested in the text here, of course, you can pick up my book of the Tao, my new English translation of the Tao, through my website, martinjohn.com. You can find that in my profile. Other than that, I'm loving life. I love you guys. I'm really grateful to be here presenting the Tao to you, and I hope it's inspiring. I hope you guys see it as a way of living a little bit more of a reasonable life, because we can use a little bit more reasonability out here in the world today. Thank you so much once again. And until next time, keep recovering yourself.